I call the meeting to order.
Okay.
So Rebecca, please call the roll.
Ham.
Here?
Esti.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Here.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Okay, great. Council, are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to the consent agenda. Oh, here comes Tom. Approval of the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 council meeting. Approval of the June 21, 2024 payroll in the amount of $169,920.72. Acceptance of the library board minutes. Acceptance of the Beautification Commission minutes. Resolution authorizing fiscal year 25 tobacco permit holders. Resolution of fiscal 25 salaries for city employees. Resolution of employment in the fire department. Resolution of employment in the park and recreation department. Approval of liquor license for University BP and Shokai. Approval of ACH payment to the Department of Revenue in the amount of $11,789.35. Approval of total claims in the amount of $958,633.05. We have 4 claims over $75,000. One to EBS for $78,521.60. That's for our health insurance premiums. Iowa Bridge and Culvert, $166,048.09. That's for the Crow Creek Bridge. Voss 2 Partners LLC, $93,702.55. This is for the TIF rebate. Woodruff Construction, $273,220 for step 3.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Moved by Gandy, second by Flournoy. Any discussion?
I have something to say. So in the library board minutes, I read that they are looking to fill a vacancy on the board of trustees for the library.
Yes.
So I got the impression from reading the minutes that they were going to fill the vacancy themselves. That would be a
No.
violation. It's come to us.
Yeah, they know that.
Okay.
They know that. I did have some applications that they looked at, and I guess, I'm not sure what.
They're going to recommend someone to us.
Yes, yeah, but they will, yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes when I've known about it ahead of time, I've also given them a couple names, and they've kind of chosen and then sent it back to me. So
Are those listed on the website somewhere? If they were, you wouldn't be able to find them anyway.
yeah, right.
Sorry.
I
I'm
don't
not-
think so.
I usually just have a link to their website, so if they don't have them listed, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So.
Well, I
Yeah.
thought that might be a nice opportunity for Alex to interview at the radio station and tell people the vacancies there and what their responsibilities are, and
Well, unfortunately,
If they-
nobody goes to the radio station anymore.
no one listens to the radio.
No, nobody goes. They're not doing that anymore.
It's not local.
It's not local anymore. They're just
That
pushing the
was
button. So,
Sorry.
I don't know, unless something changes. That's the way it is
Okay.
right now. Tom, were you going to say something?
I was going to say I did review the claims and they seemed big, but in order.
Okay. So, if no other additional questions, let's call the roll to approve the consent agenda.
Gandy.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Ham.
Here? Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Under public forum and appearances, we do have 4 items tonight. So Dave Neff is gonna kick us off with the Carnegie Historical Museum and give us a update of what's going on there.
Thank you, Mayor Boyer. Appreciate it. City Council, thank you for the opportunity. I will have to admit, I have been tardy. I have not been here on a regular basis, and I'm going to get you back on my every 2-month calendar so I can keep you current on there. I understand that on June 10th, Gloria Countryman of our Carnegie Museum Foundation gave you a good update on the building and the other things from there. At last week's meeting of the foundation, Gloria has completed her term as president of the foundation and board member. With her resignation, she has served since 2008. That makes 16 years. You could drive a car if you were that old. And so she is time and talent, and most recently as president, but she's going to step down. And many thanks for her commitment to the museum. New officers are Brittany Tiller as president. She has been vice president. Mike Parker is stepping in as vice president. Lori Fry will continue as secretary, and Jeff Johnson will continue as the treasurer of that organization. A vision that we had over 2 years ago was to highlight the heritage and century farms. Heritage Farms, 150 years in the same family. Century Farms, 100 years in the same family. When we looked through, there were 14 farms, 150 years in the same direct line. So we reached out to those first. This project, we're in our 27th month of highlighting the farms, going through. There were 14 of those, and the Century Farms at this time, we are booked all the way to the start of 2025. I just can't get over how people respond and want to be part of it on that. Great way to celebrate and recognize those folks in our community. Juneteenth, celebrated as a national holiday this year. Local financial institutions were closed, post office was closed. Two of our close folks there, Lawrence Heyer and Charlotte Wright, organized a program at the Carnegie Museum. They decided to hold it on Sunday the 16th, hopefully to get more people, from 1 to 2, and they met at the museum and gave a presentation about the Underground Railroad and how it came from Missouri up through Van Buren County, Jefferson County, Fairfield, and then continued on north. At 2:30 there was a wreath laying out at the Evergreen Cemetery to recognize Nancy Yancey, who was one of our original members that made the Underground Railroad work for Fairfield. A new opportunity that we are exploring is to help with the display on the square. If you stand in the middle of the square and look directly west, you will see Jefferson County Real Estate. And they have gifted us at no charge a window for display that we can change every couple months on there. Currently, since we had Memorial Day and we have 4th of July coming up, we felt to honor the military of our community. And so we have all the branches of the military service that have uniforms and display in that area. Some of these names you younger folks might not recognize, but others may recognize. Lieutenant Colonel Forrest Schwingles, Don French, French Rent-A-Car and Associates, John Jackson, Fairfield Feed, Chet Danielson, Danielson Motor Company, and these were all former leaders of our community, and those were military uniforms that their families gifted to the museum, and those are the ones that are on display over there. Do you believe in fire? Do you believe in an inferno? Have you ever heard of Dante's Inferno? Anybody? There's a few nods here. Well, we have received a gift, a fully restored signed copy of Dante's Inferno. It came from Dr. Kay Ferguson. She has been involved with our museum as an outreach on there. The original book was signed by Charles Parsons, Parsons College founder, so it goes all the way back to the original piece there. And it was found by her husband, Charles Ferguson, when they were dismantling Barhite Chapel and Barhite Hall. It was going in the trash, and he just happened to walk by and say, wait a minute, I think this has value. And so...
Is it in Italian?
Pardon me?
Is it in Italian?
You know, I haven't looked that closely because you have to use gloves to look
Well,
at
if you open
it.
up, you can't read the words. It's Italian.
Yeah. But anyway, Dr. Biff Coomer, former instructor at Parsons College, has underwritten the refurbishing of the cost of this, which is now at the museum, and we're in the process of providing a proper display case. 1854 is the date of this original copy that we have. Who comes to the museum? 2 bus tours from Des Moines were here. Terry Baker, Travel Fairfield, was the one that coordinated that. We have 6 Fairfield High School class reunions, 2 homeschool programs that are coming through. I guess to learn where we've been, you need to look in the rearview mirror. We all remember COVID. We were shut down. A lot of this stuff was shut down. Before COVID, we would have 400 to 500 people that would come per year to our museum, the City of Fairfield's museum. 2022, 2,500 people came through the doors. 2023, 5,000 people came through our doors. I checked with Jake this afternoon, and he says we're ahead of schedule from last year. We could be up above 5,000 and above. So I want to thank you for your continued support, for making the things available, for the restoration. One last closing point before I sit down. They don't make buildings like they used to. This building that we're in right now was constructed when people cared about how they did things. Currently, we have gone through and re-tuck pointed the building. This is the first time since the building was constructed that it has been re-tuck pointed. They just don't do it like they used to. So we want to at least keep it going for another 100. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
So much energy there. We thank everybody that's doing so much there for the museum. It's really cool. John Lipman and Don Hoelting, we're going to talk about auxiliary dwelling units.
Good evening, Council. My name is Don Hoelting. I'm here with architect John Lipman to introduce the concept of accessory dwelling units, or ADUs as they're commonly called, as one potential solution to the housing challenges that we face in our city. After meeting with City Administrator Doug and City Engineer Melanie, it was suggested that we bring this idea to you. In the 2023 Housing Study Survey that was conducted by Iowa State University, the Fairfield citizens were concerned about housing affordability, senior housing, new construction costs, and the deterioration of existing housing stock. Citizens also expressed the need for small homes, ADUs, and efficiency apartments. We believe that ADUs can address these housing concerns. Now, much of the information that we are presenting this evening can be found in a publication by AARP called The ABCs of ADUs. And we can get you the website after the meeting if you'd like. An ADU is a small house or an apartment on the same property lot as a primary home. It can provide an affordable and a flexible option for older adults and young families as well, and typically includes a bathroom, a kitchen, and a sleeping area. ADUs are also known as granny flats, backyard bungalows, casitas, laneway houses, and mother-in-law suites. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but ADUs come in many different shapes and styles, and the orange parts of all of these indicate the types of ADUs that are possible. So a detached ADU is a newly constructed residence that's usually in the rear yard and it's often invisible from the street. An attached ADU is an addition to the primary home, while an attic or a basement with a separate entrance is called an interior ADU. Now, you can build an ADU above a garage, or you can convert a garage into an ADU. Those are all the possibilities that are shown here. Now, surveys also show that there are many reasons why people want to build an ADU or to have an ADU. Now, just some of them are they want to have a home for a loved one, maybe that needs care. They want to provide housing for relatives or friends. They want to have a space for guests. Or maybe they need a caregiver to stay on the site, or they want someone to stay there just because they feel safer to have someone present. Sometimes they feel it increases the value of their home, or maybe they want to have a home office in the backyard. Many, many different reasons. Now, John's going to offer some additional thoughts about ADUs.
There are many reasons from an economic, environmental, or community perspective why ADUs make sense. The land is already owned, so the cost to build is for the structure only. Rental income helps make mortgage payments, especially for older folks on fixed incomes. ADUs are often rented to family and friends for less than market rate, so they're a way to provide cheaper housing. They're a solution for making fuller use of houses that are now only occupied by one or two people. It's a very viable, economical alternative to assisted living for a tiny fraction of the cost. And in an R1 zone, an ADU may be the only option for small home living. There's minimal visual impact in established neighborhoods, and they do not require new infrastructure, so they're cheaper for the city as well. They're a good alternative to multi-story apartment buildings, which can change the character of a neighborhood. They're typically managed by the homeowner who lives there and is therefore less likely to tolerate a problem tenant. They're an entry-level choice for young people. Empty nesters can downsize or families can expand. They're an ideal size for the 1 and 2 bedroom spaces that are needed by today's smaller childless households that account for nearly 2/3 of all American households. And they're adaptable to income levels and different stages of life. Now, you as the city council should ask, might they create fire or life safety problems? We asked Brett Farrell, our emergency manager director, and in short, he said, we can make ADUs work in Fairfield. He has 3 concerns that can be addressed in code language. They are that in the computer 911 notification system, it's not clear to him yet that there will be a way to distinguish between the primary residence and the ADU in the city. This has the potential to delay a response at an ADU by a few minutes. Second, fire trucks do not use our alleys, and because of a 150-foot hose length, it may be safest to limit how far ADUs can be from the street. And there's the possibility that the walkway to an ADU may not be clear in the wintertime. All of these are solvable with code language. Now you may want to ask, well, would Fairfield be on Iowa's bleeding edge if it allows ADUs? The answer is no. They are legal in the many counties that do not have zoning yet, such as Jefferson County, in which I designed an ADU 15 years ago, and several more have been built since then. But entirely ignoring the counties, in Iowa cities alone, ADUs are already legal for 1/3 of Iowa's population. That's how widely available they are. They're legal in Des Moines, West Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Ankeny, Ames, Dubuque, Davenport, in the medium-sized cities of Urbandale, Johnston, Marshalltown, Bettendorf, and in the smaller cities of Norwalk, Solon, Pleasant Hill, Clive, Altoona, Indianola, and Charles City, and we think Waukee, although I haven't been able to find them in their zoning code yet, but I need a few more minutes, probably will. As well as in Potawatomi and Lynn counties and the rural unincorporated portion of Polk County near Des Moines. As I said, those cities alone are 1/3 of Iowa's population. Now, the director of Iowa's AARP, who monitors the ADU situation in these locales closely because the AARP sees ADUs as a critical solution to needed housing for the elderly, has just written the following to Don. I have yet to find a city in Iowa where ADUs have been problematic. Cedar Rapids has the least restrictive ADU code and has had few, if any, problems. ADUs can be an important contributing part of the solution to Fairfield's urgent housing shortages. 2 of the Resilient Action Committee's intrepid interns, Ella Phillips and Ikea Edwards, have compiled the ADU codes from 8 Iowa cities already that now permit them, and the RAC will gladly turn these codes over to you. And finally, working from a national ADU zoning code written for AARP, we would be happy to quickly draft for the city attorney a version of it that has been customized to Fairfield's needs, and we're available to assist you in any other way. Therefore, we respectfully ask that you request an in-depth discussion on ADUs with the appropriate committee. Thank you.
So I'm hoping, council, that you will move this to economic development and look at all the research they've done. They've done quite a bit, and they're trying to make it easy for you in the sense that they're trying to do a lot of research and present a lot of information to you. So that's what I'm in hopes that the council will do, and look at this a little bit deeper.
It's not property.
Well, it could probably go to either, but ultimately it's up to you. If you think property is more appropriate,
I'm just curious. So I would like to send it to the property committee, but I don't mind either way.
No.
But I
So,
would make a motion to send it to property.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Been moved and seconded to move it to property committee. Any questions? Not, please call the roll.
Actually, I do have one question.
Yes.
If we send it to property, that's more of a zoning issue only, right? Where economic development would be the functionality of it, or not? Am I looking at it wrong?
I mean, wouldn't we also look at like the code and maybe like some of the restrictions? I feel like it's similar to some of the other property issues that we're dealing with. Like I was thinking of like off-site parking, you know, and maybe looking at some of the other issues related to zoning, like owner-occupied structures. I don't know, maybe some of those nuances. But again, like I don't know if maybe economic development might be better, but I just want to look at it. So I wanted to send
And I
it to
think
my
either
committee.
way, no matter which committee looks at it, it will need to go to planning and zoning at some point.
Sure.
So,
We can start with it and then move it on to another committee if we need to.
yeah. So we've got a motion and a second on the floor, so let's move forward with that and see where it goes. And if we find it's not quite the right fit, we can change it. So, go ahead.
Esti,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, yeah, Doug Flournoy is chair of property, so he'll let you know when that's gonna be.
If we schedule a meeting, I can invite you two to come to that meeting.
Yeah.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Yep, great, thank you. Jennifer Hamilton, Fairfield Cares.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here. I'm here with Claudia Melrose, who's also part of our steering committee. Just wanted to give you an update on our survey that we're doing. We're doing a home health survey for Jefferson County, and we're kind of halfway through it. It's proving to be a lot more challenging than we thought it might be, just because of the nature of the population that we're trying to reach. But we're pretty excited about the possibilities of what we're going to be able to do with this information, to be able to address the rather critical needs right now in our county, which is not unusual. It's actually all over the United States, certainly in Iowa, around home care. Our home care services are under direct assault because of the changes happening now in not only federal programs, but state-run programs and how they're being run. So availability of home care is really in a radical free fall. We can't be relying entirely on volunteer help. That is not realistic. So what we're hoping to do with this survey is to, one, identify who are the caregivers in our community, what is their story? Like, are they being paid or not? Are they family members? How old are they? Kind of getting a snapshot of what these very critical care providers, many of whom are not paid, but there are a growing number of people who are. And right now the going rate for home care is about $25 an hour for a CNA to come in and do care in the home. This works great for people who have that kind of money, but for people who don't, this is a real problem. I see this, and I'm sure many of you have stories around this, certainly know people that are in dire circumstances because they need care that they just simply cannot afford, and the federal programs, especially around Medicaid, is not able to provide this. So again, we're in process. We're about halfway there with our survey of getting we want a statistically significant number of respondents. So we're looking for 300. We're about halfway there. And we're asking if you have any suggestions or recommendations of how we might or how you might help us get the word out for people to take these surveys. We have paper surveys that are available in different locations, the public library, City Hall here, and some other places around town. And then we also have it available online, so that it is being done in a number of different ways.
It's
So-
too thick.
Yeah.
Several
Yeah.
pages.
I'm sorry, I was asking if we could include it in a mailing with the water bill, but it doesn't sound like that would work.
It's kind of big.
Yeah.
I think that could be problematic, yeah.
I wonder if we could just reference the link.
Yeah, the website,
Right.
we could
What
put
if we
that
had
in
like a
there.
one
Reference the
pager with
library
the link
website.
and like
Yeah.
a little blurb about it,
Yeah,
like the purpose.
because it's in everyone's interest. So this is obviously more targeted towards elders in our community, but it's not exclusive to elders. We've been helping people with mental health crises, new mothers, quite a range of people that we've been working with, developing care teams. And it's been working, but we just hope that this survey is then going to give us the data that we need to do some creative grant writing and see if we can bring some there is federal money available. So we're hoping to garner some of that to be able to actually develop some caregiver training programs as well as possibly some systems to be able to better bring care to people in their homes. Because people do want to stay in their homes. They want to be cared for by people who love them.
So,
If she wants to create that, there's no reason we can't put that in the bill, right?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah.
A single sheet,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that, I think that would probably be
That
fine.
would
We
be
take a look at it, and as long as it's approved, it can probably be included.
Cool,
Yeah.
thank
Okay.
you very
And
much.
if you're so inclined to post it on your Facebook, go to there, fairfieldcares.org.
Yes,
You can post the link there. I'll do that.
great.
Maybe
And,
also include too where people can find the paper copies for people who don't access the internet.
Right,
A lot
and
of
that
people
is a
get
real
their
deal.
Paper
Yeah.
bills and.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Doug, would you mind mentioning this on Friday for community dialogues?
Sure.
Melanie and Doug Florner Melanie Carlson and Doug Florner will be doing community dialogues with Werner this Friday, so that'll get out on the internet too.
Excellent.
So we'll mention it then as well.
Do you have any other questions for me?
Sorry?
Do you have any other questions for me?
Could you leave that with me so I could use
Yes.
it on Friday?
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
Great.
thank you for doing this. It's
Yeah.
a really
You're
important
so
service
welcome.
that you're doing.
Thank you. I'll get this back to you.
Yeah, Jennifer's work and their group is so important. So, I would not have survived my ordeal almost 10 years ago without Jennifer. She was a great help to me when I was in that situation. So, Deborah Williamson, Beautification Commission, they got a project. Another project.
So what I'm going to talk to you tonight about is patio lights in a downtown alley. So the alley I'm talking about is the pretty one with the faux cobblestone between Broadway and Briggs. But just the first half of that, just the from Broadway to the middle of the alley. The rest of the alley has dumpsters and it's just not as pretty. So picture this. So we have, the Beautification Commission already has lots of flowers in that alley. And Najah Diwali is renovating the building on the east side of the alley. It's spectacular. Oh my gosh, I got a tour of it. And Paul Glossop has the building on the west side of the alley. Both of those people have agreed to let us install patio light cables to their buildings so that as you walk down the alley, you see the patio lights strung between the two buildings. These patio lights are solar powered, so nobody has to pay the bill. They are shatterproof, weatherproof, and they would be installed professionally, and they would be affixed to a cable. I don't know the name of the parts, but this is a heavy installation kit for installing 100 feet of heavier than patio lights, and they use these, serious wires. So that's my technical understanding of that. So the ask is if we could get permission to move forward with it. I then only have to wait for Najah Diwali's construction to be done. She still has some very tall machinery that she wants to bring into the alley to install her elevator, and she's asked me to wait till she's done with that. And I think she also has some awnings she wants to install, which would require something taller. In the future, if we would need a tall piece of equipment in there, we could easily take the lights down. I mean, it would require a ladder, but it's it's not like it would require another professional. The beautification committee would just unhook them where they're anchored to the brick, and then just wait until we could put them back up again.
So Deborah, the beautification committee would install the lights?
We would pay a professional to install them.
Who would maintain them?
If the lights go out, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Replace them.
Okay, if they're damaged in some way.
Yeah, but they're shatterproof, so they would have to go out just because of the filaments just spent.
So they're,
Are they LED lights or?
They're LED, solar powered.
so
And they
they're-
last, they would last all night if they're powered all day. So they have a very long, what do they call that?
luminosity. Luminosity.
There we go.
Yeah.
Luminosity.
And
Big word.
You have them set up to come on at dusk and go off at daylight.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember which ones I got. I either got the remote that's set on a timer, or I got the kind that comes automatically. I'm not sure, but one of those. It's designed to set it up with a timer. And that can be changed because it's not like, you don't have to climb on the roof to change that. So, and Paul's building is the one that the solar components would be installed, and then each 100 feet of solar lights has its own solar charger.
So your estimate of time, is dependent on the building?
I'm waiting.
phase.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you know, construction, so might be this year. If we're lucky, it'll be this year, because I already have the lights. Everybody's ready to go.
So how many strings do we have, like 5 or so?
I got 600 feet, but that was a ballpark. I might only need 500, but you know, it's good to have more than you need.
I would move that the city allow the beautification committee to move forward with installing these lights when the time is
When the
appropriate.
time comes.
It seems like a nice addition to that part of town. Beautification commission has taken on the responsibility, which we appreciate and we applaud.
And it
We
doesn't
wanna
come
support
from
it.
the city's funds. We have a donor who is paying for all this, even the professional installation.
Even better.
So we're excited.
And they're not our building,
Yeah, that's
so
my
we're really
motion.
just
We don't need
blessing the
any
airspace
delivery,
users.
or service entry things through that part of the alley.
I know there are dumpsters on the north side of that alley, but we're only going to be stringing patio lights on the south side, closest to the square, and there are no dumpsters. Just store doors to get into stores and condos. And
How high off the ground will they be?
Pardon?
How high off the ground will they?
I'm not sure. You know, I imagine they're going to be higher than some of the awnings that are going on the condos. So it's 9 feet, 11 feet, 12, something in that neighborhood. So well above like somebody bumping into them. And the cables that they would be attached to with these little, they're not zip ties, but they're like that. The cables are very hard. So you're not going to see like wonky, sagging patio lights. It'll be like, there's a line and there's a line. And so if we did want it to like just ever so gently have an arch or a bow, we could do that. Because there's that flexibility. But
In
it's,
general, that is a walking alley, not
Right.
for vehicles.
We don't have any type of
so-
clearance code or anything, do we, that would be affected,
I don't know,
What
do
you
you know
got?
of anything?
that I know
I
of?
mean, there is for signs and for tree limbs is in Iowa code, but I can't think of anything else.
Okay.
Not
and there's
really
no hurry. You
specific to
have
mine.
months to figure it out, apparently.
All right. Well, I will second Paul's motion.
Do we go through there with the truck?
I don't know.
Our
if
plow
we
truck?
I don't know if we go through there with plow trucks. I don't know if a
That's-
trash truck is a cut through.
Some of them are done, so we do need to check that.
Okay.
I guess it's with just regular pickup truck, though, it's not a
Just
vehicle.
call the street department, see what the clearance is.
Right, and then when they're picking up the dumpsters, are they just continuing on? I
I've
don't know.
never seen anyone drive in, on that part of the alley for years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You mean you think that trucks come in, get the dumpsters, and then back out?
On the north end.
Yeah, that's what
My guess
I'm
is they're
asking
backing
about.
into the alley and then driving out.
Yeah, I
Yes.
did survey some of the downtown folks because I really wanted to find out if it was truly used as a pedestrian-only alley, and 1 out of 10 people said, no, I see cars using it, but not like regularly, like once in a blue moon to deliver something or.
Rebecca brings up a good point. Do we need I know you said the building owners have agreed that it's okay, but do we need any kind of agreement with them? Council, do you want any kind of agreement? Oh, John?
We have an agreement with Paul Glossop. It's been there since RAGBRAI the last time, quite a while ago, 10, 11 years ago, but he allowed for different kinds of electrical connections on the building to the west side of the alley, which he controlled. And it was not set to end at any particular time. I think there's still some electrical mounts and things like that on the side of the building. So we're probably okay over there, but on the eastern building, probably want to ask if they're willing to do something like Paul did on the west.
Okay. Can you get us what that agreement says?
Yeah, I'm sure I
Do you
haven't
think
seen
you have it, or?
I don't have it in my head right now. I know
Yeah.
it's an easement, though.
Yeah, okay.
So I confess I'm not quite following. So the electrical panel that was put on Paul's building.
There was an electrical panel and some other places where there were connections up and down that alley on the west side during RAGBRAI. And he gave us a written easement that allowed us to do that longer term. As far as I know, it hasn't been canceled, and that would be what I'd model on the east side of the alley for.
We don't need it for the electricity, but it's a legal agreement to put the anchors.
It's LED solar
Right.
powered, so.
So, Paul, you want to modify maybe that you're, providing we get these things covered, checking with street department and the agreements?
Okay, so we have a second.
No,
Yes.
we don't have.
Yeah,
I
Tony
did.
Oh, we do?
I seconded
Did
it.
he?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for,
So we can we unwind it? I don't think, can we? 'Cause we have a
Friendly
second.
amendment, you can amend the motion.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I would amend my motion that would we grant to the Beautification Commission the city's support and authority to install the LED lights in that portion of the alley, subject to written permission from the owners on each side of the building, and also subject to compliance with any code having to do with the installation of those lights.
Or needs of the city.
Yeah.
For needs of the city?
Yeah.
Like
For snow removal or anything.
Yeah.
Let's find out what trucks we're sending down there.
We
Okay.
need to know who's carrying getting those dumpsters emptied.
Subject to any code or needs of the city.
Right.
So 3 things.
I will second Paul's amended.
Okay. Okay, you clear about that,
Yep,
Rebecca?
got it.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
If you're not, you can just make it up when you get back.
Why don't you go ahead and call the roll, because it is more complicated.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes?
Kness,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Esti,
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I do have one other question for you. I spend a lot of time in that alley looking at anything else that we could do to improve it, and I have noticed some lights that are broken. I think they're the city lights, but I'm not sure. So I just need to know who to direct that to.
Broken or not working?
Broken, disconnected, but like the hardware still seems to be there. They're like the ones that we put up in 2007 around the square. Anyway.
Probably the
so-
street department.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give them a call.
you want to check with them.
All right, thank you, guys.
Great, thanks, Deb.
you.
Thanks for all your hard work. So we'll move on to resolution action items and ordinances. The first action item is consideration of opioid funding. And I thought, before we actually do that action item, let me give you a little background of where the city and county has been over the last couple of months. We've met twice. And the meeting is open. It's over at the supervisor's office. The supervisors have all been coming. I've been going. Public health has been going. We usually have a representative from CETA and a representative from the school, and kind of really whoever's interested in this topic. We've also had somebody from MIU, Ken Daly, who's very active in community mental health stuff, along with myself. So, and Elizabeth. as our assistant county attorney. So a couple of major things that have come out of it is, number one, to date, we have approximately $200,000 that has been funded to the city and county right now. So that's one thing. We did finally break up into 3 working groups. So we have a group that's for training, continued medical training, first responder training with Narcan, and one of the things we decided is we needed a system for managing the Narcan outdated cans. So that's one section. Another section is education, parent, community schools, education, and a couple of things that we're doing there is this tall cop, and I'll explain that a little bit. Our mental health group is focusing on getting a movie here. It's called My Ascension. It's about, not specifically about opioid funding, however, it's about suicide prevention. And we hope to bring the young lady that this movie is about to come and speak to our community and to our youth. And also, we want to focus on youth and making smart choices. And then I'm sure there'll be other topics that we use in this education area as well. The third one is about treatment resources that in Iowa, like the Hope House or Your Life Iowa. We've talked about the jail, the program they have there, what's needed. How can we increase or help that program? We understand that transportation is an issue, getting people treatment or childcare. So we're looking at those things as well. So with that in mind, and just another statistic, we did have 112 people, I think in this last year, that have received substance abuse treatment through CEDA. And we talked about education needing to start young, at age 10, which certainly sounds young to me. I kind of feel like that 10-year-old should still be a child at this point, but we know that younger people are growing up a little bit too quick, and there is a higher use of prescription opioid use between teenage girls 13 to 16. So that has increased. So it's kind of a sobering statistic. So with that in mind, we did a little research on this gentleman who calls himself the Tall Cop. He was in Van Buren County, I think in the fall last year, I believe, or it was the year before. And he was a previous police officer for 18 years, and he had a focus on alcohol compliance and drug prevention. And then he started this company called Tall Cop, and he's apparently like 6'9". He played basketball, Division I basketball, and so it's obvious he was tall, so he kind of went with that. And so he's been doing that for the last couple decades. And basically he says through education, prevention, and enforcement, his presentation addresses underage drinking and drug problems and empowers you, meaning the community that he comes to detect these problems and fight them within your own community. So part of that is educating our community what we have here. So what we're looking at is he would come on a day and scan our community. He goes into gas stations. I'm sure he'd go into the vape stores that we have. Grocery stores, and then he'll tell you what kinds of things that are legal for people to buy that people are abusing. So that's day one, and in the evening he would come and talk to our community about that, and he calls that High in Plain Sight, Current Alcohol, Drug, and Concealment Trends and Identifiers. And then the next morning, we are trying to coordinate with medical professionals, the schools, administrators, do it on a professional day. And he would come in and train and talk to not only community, but professionals who deal with this, let them know what the latest trends are. And again, it's just to help all of us understand what's in our community, how people are abusing things, what to look for, help our parents and our educators and our medical professionals. And then, so that's one thing, kind of all wrapped up in a bow, if you will. That costs about $20,000 to do all that. Sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but we think there's value in that. And the other thing is, he wouldn't come, but we're also working with one of his people that he connects with. There's a lady out of Wisconsin. She would come and do programs for our youth at the school for a day. High school, middle school, again, talk about those topics. And then there are 2 webinars coming up August 5th called Vaping, Nicotine, and Cannabis Products. These are webinars. And then August 23rd, Drugs in School, What to Expect This Fall. So we are hoping to start out with just 25 people. So people have to sign up. It's $39 a person. So we don't know what kind of, how big of sign up we're gonna get, so we thought we should start there. So that's a couple thousand for those webinars. So that's what I'm asking you tonight. Again, is $20,000 for the in-person seminars and up to $2,500 for these 2 webinars for our community, just to get us started with education for our community. And all of this group is supportive of this. Elizabeth, I don't know if you want to add to that, your thoughts on any of this.
No, you got it.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm asking for. It went on the agenda for the county this morning. Of course, I didn't listen to their meeting this morning, assuming they passed it, but
They approved it.
they did. Okay, great, thank you. So would like the city's support for this too, because some of this money is the city's, but it all goes to the county level. And
So it's going to, all the money will be administered by this committee, and then both parties will approve
Yeah.
each expense.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion to approve this,
Okay, moved by Flournoy,
this expense.
Second.
second by Kness. Any questions?
Yes. With regard to this particular program, do we have any metrics as to its success?
Well, not specifically, but there's a lot of good testimonials when he comes to the community of helping people understand what's in their community.
So I suspect when you guys, your committee has talked with this, with the tall cop, you met him? Or at least he's presented his program?
Some members of the
Some of the
committee
members
have,
there
and they
have gone and
attended.
seen his talk. and-
Seen his- oh, they've seen his
Yeah, and they
talk.
say it's quite good.
Quite good.
I have not talked to him personally. I think who I talked to was his wife, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm just curious. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Why this?
Well, we've had, council has approved over the years, at least my years in the council, we approve a speaker to come and speak about something that's interesting, and they're usually inspirational and motivational, but the lasting effects, sometimes I look for them and don't see them.
The
So-
lasting effects are pretty small.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just want to be, council, I want to be careful that we invest this money wisely. It's $200,000. This is a countywide program, I suspect. Is this?
Yeah.
These are-
$20,000, not 200.
Right.
The
Yeah.
total
200
right
total.
now is like
Is it-
216,000. It's in an interest-bearing account. It's just part of the settlement too.
Yeah.
It's not all of it.
And we'll be getting money probably over the next 15 years.
Oh, we'll be getting more?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's not-
we're trying to be careful about how we spend the money. We're trying to look at proven programs. But we thought education is so important, particularly for adults to know what they're looking for. And our educators to know what they're looking for. And then we also recognize how important it is for youth to stay off drugs from the very beginning. So whatever we can do, because we know that makes a huge difference for the rest of their life.
We've talked a lot in the committee too, Mayor, just to jump in about like evidence-based programs and trying to do some research, especially if we start trying to approach the school board about any kind of program that would be implemented in the schools, like making healthy choices and, peer pressure and those kinds of like general ideas, instead of, especially if you're starting young, instead of focusing and like saying like, hey, 10-year-old, this is what heroin is, nothing like that. But we've talked a lot about it, but there have been a lot of questions and a lot of support for additional education just for adults and educators and public health professionals in the county who are saying, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't even know how to identify this. How do I know if somebody needs Narcan? You know, so I think it's just like a good starting place that we all thought might be appropriate.
And I think from the medical professionals in the room, they're saying, listen, we're, on some of the things, we're not gonna know what the effect is. We're just not. And, but it is a place to start. So,
You think we get them to come speak to us?
We can
Just
attend.
talk? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
Can?
yeah,
Oh, that would
yeah,
be-
it'll be open to the public.
Okay.
Yeah, both those meetings in the evening and during the daytime will be open to the public.
So the webinars are a one-time thing where you attend and there's no recording?
No, there isn't a recording. Yeah. So,
But there are probably free resources out there also that we can access. The important thing, I think, is to have conversation and start a dialogue.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a start, like
yeah,
you said.
and go to his website. There's several other, you know, topics that you can choose from. But I know, and I didn't bring it with me, but one of the things, do you remember, Elizabeth, what that one drug is called?
Oh,
That-
kratom?
Kratom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like going to his site and I'm going, what the heck? I've never even heard that.
Mm-hmm. And they sell
Kratom?
them in town.
So, you know what? You probably ask a junior high person, they know what it is. I was clueless. So, if we don't know what we don't know, we have to start somewhere. So, so anyway, we do have a motion and a second to approve this funding. Judy, were you gonna say something or ask a question?
Oh, I was just going to point out that this seems to me more community education as opposed to community prevention. It's the beginning stages of just making awareness. That was where
Yeah.
Can we
I was
give
going with that.
preference to people who deal with children, like Little League coaches or Boy Scout troop leaders or
I think,
people
yeah,
like
for the
that?
webinars,
Yeah.
yeah. I
People
think,
who would reach a lot of kids more than a parent would, for example, because they're dealing with groups.
right. And Augustin Harless, who works with the school, he works with a lot of youth. And he will be sending out a lot of emails to those parents as well. So, good idea. We can ask that too, get that out there. So there'll be emails going out.
Yeah, I think
To
it's going
different
to help a
groups.
lot of parents or even just leaders get rid of some shadows and find out where they can really see and understand some things that are going on, and then hopefully they'll get some insight into what they can do further. So I would encourage us to continue in the process here.
Yeah, great. Okay, if you would call the roll.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Esti,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Thank you for supporting that. Ordinance 1248 is consideration of amending municipal code 14.04.170. This has to do with our required water meters, the new water meters we're installing. This is the second reading. I will open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the you have a question, Mark?
What are the new water meters?
Can you come to the microphone?
Mark.
What are the new water meters? What's the difference? What are they? What's the deal?
Steve, you want to come up and give her the lowdown?
These are cellular-based water meters. They're Metro and Farners where they're coming from. 'Cause what they do is they use a text message. They send one text message, that's it. So they will register the water going through your meter, and then it sends it, and then the girls will get the reading right up here on their computer.
So nobody has to come read?
Nobody has to go meter read anymore once these get in. So that's what they are, yeah.
And it's really efficient at detecting leaks, isn't that correct?
Yes, yes, we've caught quite a few with the ones we got in, because we had a pilot program out there we've been putting them in. And we could tell, wow, something's going on, they've got a lot of water usage going on. Well, give them a courtesy call. Oh yeah, well, we're filling our pool. So, or yes, we did have a toilet stick, so you know, went around, checked the toilets. It just saves that high water bill. All of a sudden you're shocked. Why do I have this bill? Well, we don't read it for 30 days. We have no idea until we get that read. That eliminates a lot of this.
Will citizens be asked to pay for the meters?
Nope. Nope, we're just putting them in.
Yeah.
And we need to upgrade them because we have a lot of old meters out there.
Yeah, so there's no extra charge,
No.
because they probably couldn't hear
Right.
that in the public. There's not an extra charge for these water meters. We're just replacing a lot of old ones,
Yep.
and well, eventually everybody will have one.
Yep.
So, okay, so with that, I'll
Alright.
close the public hearing, and council, you want to push this?
I make the motion to move ordinance 1248 from the second to the third reading.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Flournoy, second by Toohill. Any other questions? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Great, thanks. Ordinance 1249, consideration of amendment providing for adoption of parking violations. This is the second reading. We are increasing our parking violations from $10 to $50. I will open the public hearing. Anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And council?
I make the motion to move ordinance 1249 from the second to the third reading.
Okay, moved by Flournoy,
Second.
second by Esti. Any questions? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Great, thank you for passing that unanimously. Okay, mayor's report. RAGBRAI update. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of what we know right now. So again, the RAGBRAI update is, RAGBRAI will be here on Friday, July 26th. They will come in on Liberty Drive. They're coming from Libertyville, will come in on Liberty Drive, and then come up 4th Street, head north on 4th Street, go to Broadway, and head down Broadway east to the square. So around the square will be totally blocked off, including Broadway from 2nd Street, no, before that, I think. That would be 3rd Street. 3rd Street, clear over to B Street. And that corridor is where when they get to 2nd Street, and between that and B Street will be where all the vendors are, where they will eat. And then the riders will head out North B Street and out Pleasant Plain Road. So again, all 4 corners of the square will be closed. Downtown can expect barricades to start seeing barricades Thursday morning. Now, I don't know when the hard stop is for that. That'll be coming, but they could see barricades Thursday morning. Also, on 4th Street and over in that section of town, your garbage pickup is normally on Friday. The 26th is on Friday, so you will garbage pickup on Thursday. So that's along with the Thursday pickup. So they will do Thursday and Friday pickup on Thursday, because there's going to be, 15,000 riders going down 4th Street. So we don't want a garbage truck taking out any bike riders. So that's going to happen. Questions on that? Is that okay? So that's what we know so far. We're just going to allow, as this gets nailed down a little bit more.
They'll be here a while, but they're going to be here for a while, the riders.
So we expect probably the first people in at 8 or 8:30, and things will shut down at 1:30 because we want them. The Highway Patrol, the RAGBRAI wants them on their way out of town to get to Mount Pleasant. So
There's going to be
that brings up another point, that the support vehicles will come in through the west side of town on the first exit. They will primarily go to the fairgrounds and park there. So if bikers want to hook up with the fairground, their support vehicles at fairground, they'll find a way out to the fairgrounds. We may have overflow over on Grimes also, people parking along that street. And then those people, there'll be shuttles running back and forth between Fairgrounds and Uptown, because a lot of the vendors, food vendors will be uptown. And then those people, when they leave, the support vehicles will go back out west and hit the bypass. They're not gonna come through town. So come in and then go out the same way.
So the public should know that there'll be music. There are 2 local performing bands that'll be there in addition to the beer garden. So
Yep.
the town square will be a center of quite a bit of
Yes.
activity.
And if you live on 4th Street and you have to get to work that day, I suggest you park on a different street, like 5th Street. Because we want to minimize the number of cars going up and down 4th Street. So, just everybody get ready. Maybe decide not to work that day and come volunteer, because we need lots of volunteers. Alrighty, so that's RAGBRAI. I wanted to give you a quick update on the railway mural on 2nd Street, the underpass. It's kind of come full circle. If you remember this at the very beginning, we were talking about painting the panels, and then it went to, well, let's do a tile, and it's come back to painting just due to the cost. The whole tile situation, just the cost kept going up and up and up. And so they decided, you know what, if we paint it in the last 20, 25 years, that's probably good. So they're going back to the idea of painting it. And I just want to say congratulations to Terry Baker, because we got it's called a Top FAM Award. It's a familiarization trip that was given by Midwest Travel at an event she went to. So it was a nice honor for Terry to get that. And yeah, so nice things coming out of the groups that Terry's bringing in, and travel writers, and so that's kind of cool. So that's all I have.
Mayor, can I add
Yeah.
about the visit to the Blue Rose?
Oh, you want to
Yeah, I
talk
just
about
want to
it?
add
Go
something.
ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank Chris Johnson and Alex Stanley. Alex Stanley is investing I don't know how much money into taking the old Armory, which is 122 East Broadway, and turning it into what promises to be a world-class venue here in Fairfield. I mean, we've got the Fairfield Convention Center, which is wonderful, and we've got other venues, but this will be in a class all by itself if it's, as it turns out to be, the way he's put his heart and soul into it becoming. And he invited us, and we were able to take a tour, for those who had the time, of the facility this last Saturday for about an hour. And you can tell from his very passionate about what he's doing, has a tremendous amount of knowledge, has no problem with bringing in the very best experts and the very best craftsmen from anywhere to make this something that, when it's done, will be a sight to behold. So we thank him for that, and we appreciate this contribution to Fairfield's community.
Yep.
It's going to be something. It's going to be something special.
Yeah, we look forward to its opening. City Attorney report.
Yes, just 2 or 3 things. The dogs case is ongoing. We've had contact back from the Animal Rescue League in Des Moines. We now have a second person willing to help us if we want, along with the initial director up there. As far as coming down and going into the house, that's the problem right now. We've been waiting on a reply from the attorney for the owners about some way to voluntarily go in there. The owners have a mental block about our city code enforcement officer. That's too bad, but he's been as courteous as I can see as necessary to try to do what needs to be done down there. After we received several, I guess, alerts from the law center, the oldest of the 3 residents at the house, the owner of 32 of the animals, has been calling the police on him when he goes down to the neighbors' properties, and he will take a cell phone picture or something of the house if there's dogs loose running in the driveway or out in the yard doing their business, outside of the control of the house that's representing they have everything under control. So he went ahead and he filed a new set of citations on the 2 owners that are identified with the house, as well as the mother of one of the owners that owns the 32 dogs. And that's going to be another set of citations in magistrate court that will come up sometime in the middle of July and go forward. We're hopeful by that time that they will have allowed us into the house voluntarily with one of the Animal Rescue League folks, and we can clear up whether there is or isn't a public health hazard inside. The neighbors have shown up again at magistrate court. There are 7 or 8 of them that want to start a new petition. They're not satisfied that the people that are charged are really cooperating. They were part of the trial. The judge has imposed one of the sentences. They did get their dogs licensed. The other part of the sentencing is still pending. And the idea was that it was going to get worked out with something having to do with the dogs as far as a solution for so many of them. And the other part of it was going to be the cleanup of the yard, which is basically a wasteland. And we've been told that they have lime chips ordered, that they've got arrangements to have them applied. That'll be covered with topsoil, and then there will be grass growing on it. I don't hold out great hope in July. I think it's going to be tough to grow grass for the next month or so. And this solution for their yard, as far as refreshing it, involves multiple redos of that process to get it not to stink. Other than that, the house itself, we still have the inside of the house, which hasn't been inspected. In July, if we have no more cooperation than we've had up to this point, we will do a search warrant hearing of one kind or another. If we don't get satisfaction from the magistrate court, I will take it to district court and ask for it under a criminal statute and under a civil removal statute. We've done that before a few times when we had to do something like starving ponies or something like that. But I see Liz smiling because you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there is a way to get there eventually, regardless of how many refusals we have. Second thing, 701 South 4th Street's been discussed with Weston, and you gave us permission at the last meeting to board it up. And I think you've seen boards across the street, haven't you, Matt?
Yes, I have.
All right, and they picked up some stuff that was debris in the yard down there. The house was completely boarded up and red tagged. And I've been still not talking to the right person at Guardian Asset Management, but that's the group that is monitoring the lender's interest in the house. And if I get to talk to the right person, the game plan is to see if they will relinquish their interest. Between that and the children of the decedent that owns the house, they don't want anything to do with the house, according to conversations with Weston. But if they'll sign on the line the same relinquishment that I've prepared for the lender's representative, we're in a situation where the only people we have to talk with is the Board of Supervisors about continuing tax interest. And I think the board will probably cooperate with us. So at that point, we'd be in a position where we could do basically a limited, if not defaulted, 657A and have that house under our control. So we're that far along on that, and we're waiting to hear back from somebody at Guardian Asset Management. The third thing is on Wednesday, you're going to have a Public Safety Committee meeting at noon. I know they've shuffled the time a little bit on that to make it available to more people. Hopefully, people that are listening to the council meeting tonight might realize that that's a great opportunity to get on something that is at the grassroots level right now. Burlington's been using this. I expect that we'll have multiple police officers at this meeting to tell us more about how a virtual neighborhood watch works. But essentially, if you watch YouTube, you see things people see through their doorbell cameras. They see it through their household security cameras. They see it through the telephone pole camera that watches their entire grounds. And those kinds of things, they're helpful to law enforcement as far as investigations. They're helpful to other agencies as far as seeing what the circumstances are over in the neighborhood if there's something going on or the electricity shooting sparks and things like that. And it also then turns into a situation where the persons that sign up to be part of the watch, they are information providers. They can elect whether they're willing to be a witness or not. But Burlington's had good success with it. I expect we'll hear some stories about that on Wednesday. So hopefully we'll have a good turnout at that committee meeting. And it's something that over the course of the summer, the council, if there's enough interest, will provide something along the format that they did for an ordinance down in Burlington. We'll have that as another tool for our law enforcement and our inspectors. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Okay, great, thank you. Committee and board reports, we did have public safety and transportation, but because it has been rescheduled, we won't have a report tonight. And so we'll hear that next round, because they, again, as John said, will meet on Wednesday. So hopefully people can be there. Administrator and department reports.
I get to do both this evening, so I'll do mine and then I'll do Melanie's real quick. I wanted to point out that we've got Tyrell Curtis as a seasonal employee going from door to door. So don't be alarmed if somebody's knocking on your door wanting to look at your water meters for lead line inspection to fulfill those requirements. We also hired as a seasonal employee Caroline Van Pelt. She's doing data entry and she's doing data collection to help with zoning and planning and all of these other things and helping with Tyrell as well. Pretty excited about, they're really hard workers and I'm glad they're here. And then I wanted to skip over and talk about Park Street, that Park Street will be closed until July. Doing that street rehabilitation in-house and is saving the city about $1 million. They do one big project a year. I think we've got $150,000 invested in the materials, and that's something that I think is extremely successful for the city, and they do a really good job. So they've got a few more weeks trying to get that done. It's hot, and they keep on keeping on.
Hey, just to clarification, that street is totally shut down. People should not be driving on that.
They should not be. No, they
To get to the country club, right? Not from
On the back
Madison.
side of the country club, yeah.
Just from the country club.
down. Yeah.
So if you're on Madison.
Fillmore.
From Harrison to Fillmore.
Harrison to Fillmore, totally shut down.
Yeah, Harrison, not the whole street.
Yeah,
Right.
not the entire street. No.
Yeah. But the reason I say that is because a friend of mine said, somebody just went down that road, even with the blocks up. So that was last week. So I just wanted to put it out there that it's totally closed.
Because you can access Glenview from Fillmore.
Yes.
I didn't get to Cody Circle.
You come up Park.
From like Hillcrest or from Madison.
Hillcrest or one of those backside
Yeah.
streets.
I mean, you can still access it from Madison. It's not
I
closed.
should
It's
just
not
drive
closed.
across it. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Well,
only
the north side
closed
of the park's not
past
closed, is it?
Harrison.
Okay.
No.
At Madison. So the north side of the park is not closed. It's from Madison. You can drive down to Cody Circle.
Yeah.
Right.
It's only when you get to Harrison that it's
Right.
closed.
Yeah. And that's a little past Harrison, actually, because
Yeah,
there's
you
a,
can drive on the
there's
corner of
a
Harrison.
couple houses there. One
Yeah.
house, I think, maybe two. So, yeah. So sorry to interrupt you, but I
Nope.
wanted to make that point.
And then Melanie wanted me to, her report is extremely lengthy. She's, go get her a hard charger. But she wanted me to talk about the Grease Lightning lift station improvement. They will be opening a portion of that trail for a week, and then they'll be closing it again shortly in July, and that trail will be closed off, but then they'll get it reopened as soon as possible. She talks about Crook Creek Bridge. We've got a ways to go, but that construction is doing very well. So if you've read it, if you haven't, you can always contact me for questions, and I'll be happy to answer anything I can. Ooh, and the one big thing that I wanted to discuss that I skimmed over and should not have, we will be closing City Hall on Thursday from 8 to noon for training. That it will require all of our staff, because we're gonna be doing this online software update so that you'll be able to pay your bills online and be able to make that more convenient. We will not, I think as we go through, we'll be going away from making payments over the phone and just be able to do it on the computer or on an app. So we're doing that transition, and we'll be doing that on Thursday. We don't get to choose. That's all I have. I said for questions.
Great.
Do we have a timeline of when we may limit or reduce sending out the water bills by mail?
We'll find out more after Thursday.
Okay. I was just thinking if she may want to expedite her mailing.
Oh,
while we
yeah.
still are mailing
Yeah.
water bills.
It'll be a little bit, yeah. There'll
Okay.
be a transition
All right.
period, I'm guessing.
All righty. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill.
Second.
Second by Ham. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, council.